continue our meditation practice this morning. And before we get started in the meditation, I want to give some further instructions on the practice. And of course, as we all know, the main thrust or sort of philosophy behind the Buddha's teaching is about the nature of the Four Noble Truths, the nature of suffering, the cause of suffering, that suffering can be brought to an end, and then the way to live, think, and meditate that will gradually allow the mind and body to unravel all of its knots of karmic created problems and so on, to reach a state of liberation from self-created suffering. And of course, there's many causes of suffering. We could say external causes, but the main real cause is already within ourself, and the accumulated karma and the accumulated bad habits and greed, hatred, and delusion that's allowed our mind to accumulate so much negative conditioning that blocks our innate happiness. So basically, the teachings of meditation are the way that we learn to focus our attention and go inwards to understand the true nature of consciousness. But so the meditation practice, as I mentioned last night, it comes from the word keeping the mind in the middle. So the English translation of the root of MEDI means something that's in the middle, standing between two opposites. As I mentioned, with medicine, is in the middle between sickness and health. Mediator sits in the middle between two arguing parties. In meditation, sits in the middle between past and future. That means the mind resting in the present moment. Because all problems of the world, all creations of karma, are based on the idea of trying to get something in the future or to get away from something expected from the past, some pain. So to kind of keep it short, it's the seeking of pleasurable feeling outside of ourself, because that's all we know. It comes through the senses. So we try to tantalize our senses with beautiful things to see and smell and taste and touch and feel and hear, because we've lost that natural connection to the intrinsic state of present moment awareness, which is actually the true happiness. Because all problems are problems of the past and future. Try to think of any problem that you have, and you'll see it's connected in one way or another with the idea of past or future. Even a pain or an itch you have right now. So there's an unpleasant feeling. And then there's the idea that this is going to last forever unless I itch it or change the posture. And so that's projecting into the future, even something kind of simple. But if you train yourself to just watch and observe various pains, or in this case, not really pains, but just irritations like itches and scratchy feelings and other minor kind of things, most of them will change and vanish within a few seconds, or maybe a little bit longer. Or you can learn how to observe and relax around them and endure them and not have to always be wanting to rub and scratch and move around trying to find the perfect comfort. Because ultimately there's not going to be any ultimate perfect comfort or satisfactory condition. But we've never been trained ourselves And since we were children, we've always, trained ourselves to always want to, get away from those things. But anyway, essentially the pull between pleasurable feeling and painful feeling, this is what dominates 99% of our waking state, and even within sleep to a certain extent. So all problems are problems of thinking about the past and future. When the mind is resting in the present moment, there's nothing to judge, there's nothing to compare. And so it's that tension of pleasure and pain, it gets sort of neutralized into just present moment awareness. And all this, also the sense of I and me, that is something that's created within our consciousness also. And the thought of I and me is based solely on our past identification. We remember, oh, yeah, I was a child, I did this and that, or a teenager did, my mother and father, this and this. So, everything we've experienced, we have this ego consciousness. And it projects that into the future. As I don't want these to happen in the future. Or you have desires of the future and that they don't get satisfied or fulfilled. And so the ego is always, all the emotions and the tension, stress, anxiety, worry, fear are all created by this sense of I and its involvement with the world coming through the senses. So this is sort of the basic Buddhist philosophy and with how the Buddha taught. So by learning how to ground the mind in the present moment, it lets go of dredging in or regurgitating, so to speak, our past memories and the other related thoughts and reactions that come with recalling the past or projecting the future. And so the body is always in the present moment. And that's why the Buddha chose the contemplation of the body as the first foundation of mindfulness, or the beginning aspect of meditation, learning how to use the body as an anchor to the present moment. Because this body is operating through this body with its, the mind is operating through this body with its, 5 physical senses and then the mind itself. That means its memories and so on, and accumulated emotions. But most people's minds are like a ship on a stormy sea without a rudder. You see, like this ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal. They said they had a sandstorm, so they couldn't see, and the wind was blowing. So what happened? The ship couldn't steer properly, or the captain couldn't see properly, and the ship got stuck. Well, that's what happens to our own mind, because we don't know how to steer the ship, or it gets blown by the whirly winds of pleasure and pain, gain and loss, and desire and aversion. And we don't know how to keep the ship steady because it's not grounded. It doesn't have an anchor. So that's why, anyway, mindfulness, the first stage of meditation is learning how to bring the mind back to the present moment and use it as an anchor to the present moment. That's the only thing that we have. From the time you were born, or from the time you were conceived in your mother's womb, the body was fused together. The mind and consciousness was already fused together, interconnected there, with each cell of the body having consciousness. And since you were born, until the moment you die, you have this breathing body literally just beneath your nose. And it's in the present moment. The body is always in the present moment. That means it's just here. Whatever you're doing, whatever posture you're doing, or the breath is coming in, the breath is going out, or other sensations on the body, you just, when you just feel them, those are just present moment vibrations, sensations that are occurring in the present moment. Now, if you think, oh, what am I going to eat for lunch? That's the future. Okay, that's a thought in the mind, but it's a thought about the future. It's not a thought about the present moment. And so on. So anyway, the idea is that we use the breathing in the body to regain that anchor to the present moment, because it's the only thing that's reliable. It's instantly available. Boom. Oh, yes, the body's there. Breath's going in and out. And only in yourself. And you can't depend on anybody else. Your mother, father, brothers, sisters, relatives, teachers, anybody else cannot, feel your present moment sensations. Or they're also come and go. Oh, where's my brother? Oh, I have to walk to the other room. Where's my mother? Oh, I have to walk to the other room. I have to go. No. With the body, breathing body, it's simply right there every second, just beneath your nose. It's not very far, is it? Boom. Ah, the body. 150 pounds or more or less of flesh and blood, of millions of cells vibrating. It's all right there. But we've never been trained to notice it. What do I want to do that for? I want to look at her body or his body, right? Or the mind is always in the future. So most people's minds are very seldom really grounded in the body because of the nature of life and how complicated it's become and so on. The mind is always rushing ahead of itself. There's always a jump ahead of the body. So the body is here, but the mind is thinking about, all kind of other things. So it's a training. The first stage of meditation is learning how to remember what is this body doing right now, and then actually feeling it. Not a matter of just mentally remembering, but actually feeling it. Oh yes, feeling the feet touching the floor, feeling the hands touching together, feeling the clothing touching the skin. That's often overlooked in a lot of meditation instructions, but I find that feeling those kind of light and those tactile sensations of the clothes touching in the skin on different places. Those are, some of the most best thing, because there's so many of them, and you just, you can easily feel them if you just pause and kind of just pay attention to it. And a lot of them are very pleasant or neutral sensations. And then, of course, the breathing. So just underneath the skin, there's a whole parallel universe going on, what is called the subtle world or the inner world. Okay, we have the outer world out there, which means, okay, we look and we see my skin or hand, or we see something other, or the objects. That's the outer world. But then just beneath the skin, there's a whole separate reality called the inner world, which would include like the more subtler inner body sensations. And of course, the memories in your mind, the mental thoughts and urges and mental activity. But normally we're engaged in the outer world. But in meditation, again, in meditation, it's keeping the mind in the middle. Uh, Actually, I'll be talking more about that later in the afternoon Dhamma talk. So, but the middle in meditation is not getting lost in the outer world and not getting lost in the inner world, but learning how to be in the middle of that. Be aware of what's going on outside, being aware of what's going on inside, but the mind not being dragged out into either one and finding that kind of balance. That's what's called present moment awareness. Anyway, and that's the natural state of our mind, our consciousness. But we've lost that natural awareness. And so in meditation, there's three main obstacles to learn how to bring the mind back home to the body and to develop concentration. To be able to keep the mind focused within the body. And those are sleepiness. Because when you start to get drowsy and sleep, you lose, consciousness basically. Where the mind just is in a kind of a fuzzy cocoon state. And then physical pains, when you start to get physical pains, strong itches and other irritations, your mind gets disturbed by them. And so it's difficult to keep the mind relaxed and focused. And then the third one is just incessant thinking and worrying, called restlessness and worry. Just that kind of not being able to just be relaxed. What time is it? What time is it? When is it going to be over? And kind of reacting to any kind of little irritations or that might be going on. So those main three obstacles for meditation, for most people, that's going to occupy most of their actual meditation period, is learning how to observe or recognize these hindrances before you've gotten carried away by them, and to apply the appropriate sort of antidote. So let's say if you find yourself sleepy and the body's slouching, then you got to recognize, oh yes, I'm sleepy or drowsy. And you have to try to straighten the body back up and to keep the back of the head and the spine in a straight line. And maybe take a couple of deep, slow breaths to reoxygenate the bloodstream. So you can hopefully stay more alert and awake. And then when pains arise, we have to learn how to observe these painful sensations. It's not only painful sensations, it's even minor body irritations, like even a tiny little itch somewhere, the urge to want to rub it or something. Or some other irritation, where you got a pain, so you move your leg. So you learn to observe these urges. Just be urging, relax. It's not that bad. You kind of in the beginning talk yourself through it, or out of wanting to move. Because meditation happens between the brain and the spinal column. Really. Because all the psychophysical energies are, the world is coming from the senses outside into the nervous system. Most of what we react to and engage with in the world is coming through our senses. And if the nervous system is not in good operating condition, then that impedes the awareness, and it slows down the mental process so that we don't clearly see our mind getting distracted or our mind going to sleep. It creeps up very, very subtly. And before we know it, we're either half asleep or we're lost in thoughts or already reacting to pain without clearly having seen the early warning signals. And then it's much harder to kind of overcome them. So anyway, that's part of the meditation practice. So there's two parts to the meditation, basically. One is concentration, and the other is alertness or mindfulness. And the aspect of concentration is being able to hold your attention in the body, whether it's just on the breathing or it's on the posture of the body, or just basically, within the kind of the outline of the body, feeling different sensations and the breathing. It doesn't have to be fixed on one point, but within the body. That's a very limited area, as opposed to the whole world that we allow our mind to wander around in. We're thinking about somebody else's body or something else. So that's also a concentrated state. So that's the domain of mindfulness meditation, is this breathing body. In any of the sensations that are going on within the body, so that we can more clearly see our thoughts that are coming through. How many people get easily lost in their thoughts? So why do you get lost in your thoughts? Well, there could be many reasons, but basically you didn't see them coming. Right? Maybe you sit down and say, I want to count my breaths. So you start counting, 1, 2, and then before you know it, you're thinking about something. And, maybe for some time, you don't remember, oh my God. So you didn't see the thought coming, because the thoughts well up from deep within the unconscious mind. And if we're not centered and grounded and alert, we don't have that mindfulness, because people can get too concentrated, but their mind can not be bright and sharp. They may not have enough mindfulness. So there's a balance between concentration and mindfulness. So the mindfulness is like the watchdog that's alert for distractions coming in. So if you have a watchdog at home, he barks when strangers come, right? So when the stranger of sleepiness comes, ruff, ruff, sleepy, sleepy, wake up. Or if you're starting to get disturbed by pain, discomfort. It's not that bad, chill out. A lot of people use the word chill out, right? They don't even know what the word means. Chill out means to relax your body around discomfort. That's really, chilling. You're just sitting there and there might be aches and pains and other loud noises going on, but the mind is staying in its relaxed, centered state of awareness. That's the real chilling. So that's where the balance of mindfulness and concentration, that's what we have to. The meditation is really about balancing mindfulness and concentration. Either people try to be too mindful and try to notice too many things, but if they're not concentrated enough, then their mind gets distracted and confused. And if you're too concentrated, like really focused in on some tiny sensation, and you lose awareness of things around you, then the mind can also sink into kind of a limbo state, or kind of just a nebulous feel-good state, but it's not really alertness. And the meditation stops in its tracks. So we have to balance both the mindfulness and the concentration. So the concentration, in this case, what we're doing here in the retreat, it's using the body posture and the breathing. And I emphasize working with both of them as the concentration. That means the connection to the present moment. Just sitting, breathing is remembering that and feeling the changing sensations. But the mindfulness is the background alertness that can notice when your head is starting to go down, or when your spine is starting to slouch. And then you be aware, you're slouching. And then you make the effort to try to straighten back up, to notice the improvement in your awareness, and then come back to your meditation, the flow of your meditation, the breathing, and the posture. And then the same with thoughts. When you start to get lost up in thoughts, notice that, thinking, and try to let go of that thought and to come back to re-ground in the present. So that's basically what we're trying to work on in these first few periods of our meditation practice, learning how to develop that concentration on the body, the present moment, the breathing. Some people think the breathing and the body are different things, but actually they're not really. Of course, you can focus on one if you want, but I don't think that's really the way the Buddha taught. Oftentimes it's misunderstood. But anyway, first of all, we do work with the breathing, but then without getting stuck only on that, we open up to feel the body and the flow of, sensations and keeping the posture straight too. So, any of you have any, not the people out in virtual land, but the people that are here, any of you have any questions as to anything that I was just talking about? Yes?
So, if someone is meditating and their eyes are closed and they start getting drowsy, is it okay to slightly open your eyes just to wake up?
You could if you want, yes. But not open them and look around, but just enough to allow some light to come in, but keep your gaze kind of, just on the floor in front of your body somewhere. And, but I would recommend even before that, straightening the posture, and especially the inward curve of the lower spine, even during the meditation or in between your breaths, to make a habit of checking the posture. Two things. One is the chin going down, and the other is that inward curve of the spine starting to bulge outwards. And, starting that, the gravity is always trying to pull us down. So to check those two things, first kind of re-arch the spine inwards in the lumbar vertebrae, kind of pull the shoulders back a bit and keep the chin lifted up to the floor. If you're really sitting in a straight posture like that, it's impossible to go to sleep. Although some people, I think, might have managed it. So those are the first two things I would recommend. And take a few deep, slow breaths to oxygenate the bloodstream. That may work for a few minutes or more. But yeah, at some point you could just open your eyes a little bit. But you're not looking out the eyes. Your attention is still connected to the breathing or the posture. But maybe just the fact that some light is coming in may help you to stay more alert. Yeah. So that's one thing. Gravity is always trying to pull us down. We have this big head on top, and it's balancing on just the neck vertebrae the size of a quarter. So that's not very much. We got this big chin sticking out, loaded with gold crowns and silver fillings. So it's a lot of weight. There's nothing underneath to support it. So gravity, the first thing that happens is gravity grabs that old chin and starts pulling it down. Because most people don't do neck exercises, they have weak neck muscles, so they can't resist that downward pull. And when the head comes down, it causes your body to slouch. And that's when the lower spine bulges outward and the shoulders kind of cave in and constrict your breathing. And so whenever you notice your body in a state like that, first you recognize it, oh, slouching. And first try to reestablish that inward curve of the lower spine, pull the shoulders back, and then try to reposition the chin so it's level to the ground. And also when you're meditating the hands, if you're sitting in the cross-legged posture, it's good to keep the hands a little bit lifted up so the edge of your palms are right about where the navel is, so that they're not resting on the lap. Because if you rest your hands down on your feet or legs, that will very subtly draw the body forward and the shoulders in. You can't notice it, but it does that. But when you lift your hands up, that puts less drag on the shoulders, so you're able to keep the body upright. But people say, well, I can't do that. Okay, it may feel a little bit difficult in the beginning holding your hands up, but in the end, you'll be able to do it very easily, and it will pay off in the long run. So when the hands are lifted up a little bit, it doesn't mean way up here, but it means right about the level of the navel. It's a very comfortable position. Or if you find it, you can put something between to help support the hands, like an extra cushion. You can put it on your lap so the hands are up a little bit. And again, I just mentioned some of these things as, tips, right? People say, can you give me some tips on meditation? Well, these are the tips, right? To keep the chin lifted up level to the floor, pay attention to the posture, try to keep the hands rested up a bit so you can keep the shoulders back and feel that straight, alert posture. And then it's much easier to stay, all that attention to the body is the present moment awareness. And the breathing is going within in the body. So anyway, that's how I, just some things that you can experiment with to see what helps you to, again, the main thing is overcoming those the hindrances of sleepiness and pain. So sitting straight also will minimize pain, because a lot of pain comes when you're slouching down and putting pressure on your joints. All that weight of gravity pushing down on your joints, compressing the vertebrae. That's what, it restricts the circulation and of the electrical energy. So when you're sitting up straight and there's no downward kind of pressure, then your circulation is able to remain in a good condition, and so on. Because there's electrical energy that's constantly going through the body too. And if you're slouching like that, that gets impeded, and that's what most pains are about, that the blockage of the circulation by one reason or another. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start our meditation period now. And we're going to be doing a sitting meditation, and then we're going to be standing up and doing a short standing meditation. Then we're going to do a period of walking meditation around the room, and I'll explain about that later. And then sit down for another shorter meditation. So you've already been sitting for, some time, half an hour or so. If you want to stand up for a minute just to stretch your legs, you can do that. Those of you out there in Zoom land, uh, you can just get yourself ready for meditation or start when you're ready. So even while standing there, just take a few deep, slow breaths. Just do some deep, slow breathing. So go ahead and sit back down. Just try to sit straight. To align the back of your head and spine in a straight line. You keep the chin lifted up level to the floor. Start to position your hands, as I was mentioning. And first of all, just bring your attention down to feel the weight of the body pressing the seat. Especially try to feel where the buttocks press the cushion. The right buttock, the left buttock. Try to feel some sensation. That sensation of hardness. And feel your feet and toes. You feel some subtle sensation in your feet and toes. Notice the outline of your big toes or other toes. It's like looking down through a microscope. Just remember sitting. These feet belong to this larger sitting body. And moving the attention up to feel your hands and fingers. Feel where the hands touch together. Notice the outline of your thumbs, other fingers. Start to feel those subtle sensations. Again, just remember sitting. These hands are on the larger sitting body. Then feel the arms hanging from the shoulders, the weight of the arms. Feel where the clothing touches the skin of the shoulders, arms. Now moving the attention up to feel the base of the neck, where your shirt or clothing touches the base of the neck. And then feel inside the throat. I feel a sensation to want to swallow or to cough, or some other sensation in the throat. And move the awareness up to feel the point of the chin. So you can feel some sensation on your chin. Skin stretched over the bone. Then feel the lips touching together. The upper lip touching the lower lip. To feel a sensation of dryness or moistness in the lips. And feel the tongue laying in the mouth, where the tongue might touch some teeth or the roof of the mouth. And the moistness in the mouth, the saliva. Also pay attention to the chin. If the chin has gone down a bit, just gently lift the chin up a little bit. See if you notice an improvement in the alertness of consciousness. Now feel the eyes in the socket and the eyelids stretched over the eyeballs. Feel the subtle eye movement. The blood pulsing in the capillaries of the eyeballs or eyelids. Relax the eyes. You might see some light or color, or even a mental vision. Just resting the attention there behind the eyes. Kind of like taking a video recording of your eyeballs, eyes. If there's a video camera just behind your eyes. And feeling the face. Skin stretched over the forehead, the nose, cheeks, lips, the chin. It's as though you were taking a movie of the inner face. Remembering sitting. It's the present moment awareness. Just feel that aliveness in the face and head. It's as though a scientist were looking down through a microscope, observing all the cells and molecules moving around. Then open up that lens of the camera to feel the rest of the sitting body. Feel the shoulders, arms, chest, hands, legs, and feet. Start to feel the outline of the sitting body, from the head down to the toes. Feeling the clothing touching the skin, the outer world and the inner world together. Sensations on the surface of the skin, sensations from underneath the skin. Just trying to feel that aliveness of the body, present moment awareness. And now begin some deep, slow breathing to reoxygenate the bloodstream with oxygen. Try to take a few seconds just to expand the abdomen, rib cage, and upper chest. Hold the air in the lungs. 2 or 3 seconds to feel that pause, subtle energy, and feel the relaxing contraction of the out breath. Try to feel the last bit of air go out of the lungs. And then the next in-breath. Just take a few deep, slow breaths like that, cultivating this basic present moment mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. You can continue to do deep breathing if you're not tired of it. Otherwise, you can let the breathing go back to its shorter rhythms. But we're going to count the breaths from 1 to 10. Try to develop a more continuous observation of the breathing. Keep the attention focused in the middle of the body. And with the next expanding in breath, count 1. The contracting out breath, count 1. Next in breath, 2. Out breath, 2. In breath, 3. Out breath, 3. In breath, 4. Out breath, 4. In breath, 5. Out breath 5. In breath 6. Out breath 6. In breath 7. Out breath 7. In breath 8. Out breath 8. In breath 9. Out breath 9. In breath 10. Out breath 10. Now discontinue the counting. Discontinue any control or deeper breathings, letting the breath return to its lesser, uncontrolled rhythm. We continue to feel it. Stay focused there in the same center of the body. Feel the subtler sensations of the skin touching the abdomen, the stomach, chest, or other sensations of breathing. And just knowing when the breath is coming in and knowing when the breath is going out. You know it by feeling it, feeling the sensation. Try to feel the 4 phases of each breath. The in-breath, the brief pause. The out-breath and the brief pause. It's one cycle of breathing. Noticing the brief pauses between the breaths is important. Normally our mind wanders between the breaths. And if we're aware of the pause, then you'll be there for the next out breath or in breath. That's why if you make the notes of in, sitting is the pause, and then out, sitting, and you never miss a beat. In, sitting, out, sitting. It's the continuous, ongoing connection in the present moment of the body. Just remember that much. It's not much to remember. In, sitting, out, sitting, breath by breath, moment by moment. That's the concentration. Noticing how each breath is different, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Sometimes you feel it more in the abdomen, sometimes you feel it more in the chest. It's always changing. Be like a scientist sitting in the laboratory, conducting an experiment, looking through the microscope. This body is the meditator's laboratory. The microscope is concentrated awareness. Just aim it down to the center of the body. In, sitting, out, sitting. At the same time, be alert for any of those hindrances arising, drowsiness, mental activity, thoughts, or pain starting to pull at the mind. That's the mindfulness, recognizing the hindrances or distractions so that you can let go of them, apply the appropriate antidote, and stay connected to the concentration, breathing body. That's the balance of concentration and mindfulness. And just let the stream of thoughts come and go in the back part of the awareness, keeping the sensations of the breathing body in the front of the awareness. The mind's very powerful, it can do that. In sitting, out, out, sitting. Thoughts come and go, sensations come and go, sleepiness comes and goes, sounds come and go. These are all just a continuous flow of change and impermanence through the body and mind. But just underneath all of that change, mental chaos, drowsiness, is a parallel dimension of present moment awareness, the here and now, connected to the body. It's always there, inviting you to come and see. If there's too many thoughts, or if the minds get fuzzy, drowsy, go back and do some deep, slow breathing to re-anchor the attention, the breathing body, the present moment. Pump up the blood with oxygenated oxygen. Try to notice subtler, more and subtler sensation. Either on the surface of the skin or inside. When pains arise, try to relax around them. Relax the body, relax the mind. Just allow those painful sensations just to kind of ricochet around the body. If the mind gets tense about it, tell the mind to relax. They're all impermanent. Just feel the subtler vibrations underneath the painful ones. What perceptions or thoughts arise based on that sound contact? Sound arises, vanishes. And now take a deep, slow breath. Straighten up the body. And mindfully place your hands at the edge of the knees. And on the next in-breath, stretch your head back and pull the hands against the knees to arch your lower spine. Hold it a few moments. Feel the sensation. And lift the head up on an in-breath. Be aware of any rush of sensation. And on the out-breath, press the chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebra. And lift the chin up level on an in-breath. And relax on the out-breath. Keep the mind focused on the body. Don't let the mind rush to the future. And then slowly stretch your legs out to relieve any discomfort. And stretch them out straight to one side. And flex your toes a few times. If your feet have gone asleep, to draw blood back down into the legs and feet. Keep the heels about 6 inches apart. Make some circular movements with the feet and ankles. A few times in each direction. Okay, then we'll do the forward stretch. And place the hands at the chest. On the in-breath, raise the hands over the head. On the out-breath, touch the chest and reach forward. Try to hold on to your toes or feet. Try to keep the legs straight if you can. Stretch forward. Let the bones in the lower spine stretch out. Just hold that a little longer. Feel all those stretched sensations. Try to stretch a little more. Then breathe in, sit back up. Just let your hands rest on your knees. Just close the eyes, just mentally feel the body exactly as it is. Buttocks pressing the floor, the legs stretched out, heels touching the floor. Hands resting on the legs. The head balanced on top. Clothing touching the skin on different places. It's the present moment of the body exactly as it is. Different sensations. the here and now of the body. You can now draw your feet up and try to come into the squatting position just before standing. And just pause, feel the toes and the hands pressing the floor. If it's painful, just feel those sensations. And on an in breath, slowly straighten the legs, keeping the hands on the floor as long as you can to the end, then lifting up. Bring the hands together at the chest and back to the sides on the out breath. Just keep feeling the standing body. Don't let the mind wander, thinking about something else. The body is always right there beneath your nose. The feet pressing the floor. Straight legs over the feet. Hands and arms hanging at the side. Clothing touching the skin on different places. The head balanced on top. There's a whole wonderful world of the body right there beneath your nose. Why do you want to think about the past or future? Just feel that aliveness of the standing, breathing body. Take a few deep, slow breaths. After breathing in, hold the air in the lungs a few seconds. Feel that subtle surge of energy, the oxygenation of the blood. And feeling the last bit of air go out to the lungs on the out breath. Just breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Sounds coming and going in the background, just sound vibrations. Thoughts going to the back of the mind. The sensations of the living, breathing body in the front of the awareness. Connection to the subtle world. The present moment awareness. Try to feel that organic aliveness of the body. Subtle pulsation, subtle prickling sensation. heart beating. The parallel universe of the inner body, the inner world. The present moment. Okay, now we're going to do a period of some walking awareness around in the room. So those with cushions near the edges, move them in toward the center a bit. So there's a little corridor around the cushions to walk. Those of you at home, if you're still tuned in on the Zoom, and maybe try to find a place where you can practice some walking meditation there where you are. And I'm going to be changing the screen for a moment, and I'm giving some instructions on the walking meditation. I'm going to give some instructions on the walking meditation. Can that be make it small? Okay, that's good. Okay. So I'm going to give some instructions on the walking for a few people who haven't been here before. We're going to be walking around the kind of an oval, a rectangle. How many took geometry? You know what a rectangle is? 4 square sides, okay? So remember that. So we're going to try to walk in a rectangle, move this in a little bit. So when you get to the corner, whatever corner it is, you're going to come to a full stop and stand for at least just 1 second, just so that you can feel that pause and not to rush the turning, and then be aware of the turning process. But I'm going to kind of just demonstrate that. We coordinate the steps with the breathing. That helps you to stay more focused and bring more harmony into the body-mind process. So normally when you do the walking, we'll hold the hands like this against the abdomen. Although if you tend to stoop a lot, you can hold the hands behind you to help keep the shoulders back and hopefully walk a little more straight. But then in coordinating the steps with the breathing, on the in breath, lift the foot up and swing it forward. On the out breath, try to touch the heel first and feel that gradual pressing of the foot and the body shifting forward. So it's called lifting and placing. The in breath, lifting, out breath, placing. Just make that the main focus of the concentration, the present moment. The lifting, in breath, out breath, placing. If you can kind of walk that slowly, I know it might be a little bit difficult if you don't have a good balance, you might feel a little wobbly Anyway, just try it best you can. Move forward a little bit. Try to keep at least about 6 or 8 feet, between the person and back. So that's the main part of the walking. But when you come to the corner, like you would come up and maybe stop, about here. And then you be aware of turning and feel at least 3 or 4 or more little movements of the feet to make that 90-degree turn. And then pause again, just because it's important if the pause is the present moment and not to rush. And then again, the lifting, placing, lifting, placing, and just focus on the feet. Feel the sensations of the socks on the skin of the feet. And when the foot presses the ground, feel that solidness of the floor underneath. And, just letting go of any thoughts or anything else that goes through your mind. Or if you have an urge to want to look, be aware of that urging to look. And just try not to, and just keep your attention on the floor in front. Okay? So we'll go ahead and start with that. And at some point, I may make a clap. If you hear a clap, a double clap, that means finish your last step and just, sort of bring the feet back together and relax the hands to the side and just go back to standing awareness. And just feeling the standing body. When you hear the clap the next time, then that means to start the walking again. So actually, it's really just a practice of keeping the mind in the present moment while you're doing some activity. So if any time you need to use the restroom or something, well, you can just quietly go out and then rejoin the line later when you come back. So let's go ahead and begin. In breath, lifting. Out breath, placing. Lifting. Placing. Lifting. Placing. Lifting. Placing. Just continue that. And when you get to the corner, it's on your own. Stop, pause a moment, make the 90-degree turn, feeling the little movements of your feet and body. Just relax your arms at the sides. Just feel your feet pressing the floor. Remember standing, now the body is standing. Before it was walking, now it's standing. It's the present moment. Feet pressing the floor, straight legs over the feet, hands and arms at the sides, clothing touching the skin on different places, head balanced on top. Take a couple of slow, deep breaths. Hold the breath in for a few seconds. Feel that subtle surge of oxygenating blood to the nervous system. Holding the breath in the lungs for several seconds. Just breathing in, standing. Breathing out, standing. It's the present moment awareness connected to the body. Wherever you go, whatever you're doing, there you are. Present moment at your fingertips. If you know where to look, how to be awake. Now we're just going to do a little simple turning around exercise just to, again, for practice of the mindfulness. So from where you are now, we're going to turn the body around in 360-degree circle, like we did it, making the 90-degree turns, but this time we're going to make a complete circle. Just observing all the subtle little movements of your feet and body that are needed to turn the body around. We take it for granted when we're going here and there, and we're turning around and moving fast, but when you really slow it down in a slow motion and observe how many things are going on to turn the body, and it's a good way to stay concentrated. So just from where you are, just begin slowly turning very slowly, and just very short movements of your feet, either direction you want to turn in, and then just keep. Well, I'll kind of make these notes for yourself. So start turning. Just be aware of turning, turning, turning. Do that on your own. Turning. Each foot who has to move. Turning, 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 turning. When you get turned around in the direction that you were before, then just stop. And just be aware of stopping, standing, standing. So ideally in the mindfulness of the body practice, we try to be aware of any movements we might make with the body in that same kind of deliberate kind of awareness, whether you're be bending or stretching the body one way or another, or turning the head. In fact, even right now, we can practice turning the head so that you kind of get used to it and can remember that later. And just turn your head to the right, but just kind of inch by inch. Be aware of turning, 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 turning as a separate little movements, turning until you get turned as far as you can, and then kind of open the eyes and be aware of looking, looking as your eyes kind of fall on something. Don't try to name or label the object. It's just seeing, seeing. Then turn the head back to the center, turning, 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 turning. Maybe go to the other side, left side, turning, turning. If your eyes are open, you can see different colors and patterns going across your eyes. Don't try to think about those things. It's just seeing vibrations, seeing, seeing. When you get turned all the way to the left, whatever your eyes focus on, it's just color, different shapes or patterns. You turn the head back to the center, turn, 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 turn. And when you finish that again, just standing, standing. And when you hear the clap again, begin the walking. Lifting, placing, lifting, placing, lifting, placing. Just continue that walking, making the 90-degree turns at the corners. Now in the same mindful way, just come back to your sitting place. Spread your cushions back out the way they were. And then sit down again. As you're bending down, stretching, just be aware of those movements. Try to do it slowly. Be aware of bending, bending, stretching, stretching. Adjusting your body posture. Okay, so let's go back into the sitting meditation awareness. Another about 20 minutes of sitting. And just first of all, feel the body grounded to the floor. Just spend a minute kind of just scanning the sitting posture. The sitting posture is different from the standing or walking posture. You can try to turn on the video camera behind your eyes, just close your eyes. Just turn on the inner video, feeling the different parts of the body. And just establishing that whole body awareness. Just take a few deep, slow breaths to re-ground recenter the awareness in the breathing body. Just coming back to breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. In, sitting. Out, out, sitting. Balancing both concentration and alert awareness. Concentration is that continuous connection to the breathing body. The alert awareness is alert for distractions, the hindrances. In sitting, out, out, sitting, turning up the power of the mental microscope to notice subtler, more sensations in the breathing body. And with each in and out breath, sends rippling sensations throughout the whole body and nervous system. Noticing subtler thoughts or urges moving through the back of the mind. Any thoughts of, I want this or I don't want that. Perceptions or thoughts arise based on that sound contact. Sound arises, vanishes. Dukkha pata cha nidukha bhaya pata cha nibbaya sukha pata cha nisukha hontu sabbe pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. In this way, may all beings live with mindfulness and wisdom. And thus spoke the Buddha. Now place the hands at the edge of the knees again. On the next in-breath, stretch the head back. Pull against the knees to arch your lower spine. Breath, lift the head up. Out breath, press the chin to the top of the chest. Stretch the neck vertebra. In breath, lift the head up. Level, relax on the out breath. Still try to keep your attention lightly focused on the body. So I'm going to give some instructions on the eating meditation, eating awareness. We'll be having the lunch time soon. And so in a retreat like this, it's important or very useful to that we use all the different activities of our body as another opportunity to stay grounded in the present moment. So eating is also, we spend a lot of time during the days and years, eating, but very seldom are we really relaxed and focused in the present moment, because we're either in a hurry to rush on a short lunch break if you're at work, or if you're in a family setting, you're distracted by all kind of conversations and other things, and so on. So even while you are waiting in line or waiting for lunch to start, or waiting in line, you can just ask yourself, why do we have to eat? Why are we eating? Well, the answer should be, well, we eat to live. His body needs material food in order to live. And why do you want to live? To eat. Some people might reply like that. So some people live to eat, other people eat to live. So we should take that we eat to live. But then why do we want to live, besides eating, of course? Well, because we want to enjoy the world. We want to grow up and have kids, grandchildren, so many other things, or enjoy the world. Okay, well, that may be one aspect of it. But from the Dhamma point of view, from meditator's point of view, this life is very valuable, and we need to be able to live long enough that we can make progress on the path to the end of suffering. So, because death can come at any time, we don't know. So we have to make the best use of our time on this earth to try to disengage or disentangle our mind from its complicated network of negative habits and conditionings and ignorance and delusions. So for most people, that's going to take most of a lifetime. So anyway, we try to see it in that way. So when you're waiting in line, you can reflect on that. But if you smell certain flavors there and triggers off certain thoughts, oh, what's that? What's that? Smells like this one. Just be aware of these thoughts. There's no harm in it, but just be aware of, okay. But, try to keep your attention grounded in the body and just, feel your hands holding a plate or what, your feet pressing the floor. Just, be aware of standing. Until the line goes down, and then try to be mindful of, scooping food up, putting on your plate and so on, or any thoughts connected with the food. Trying to get too caught up in, too many judgments or other types of things, and understand with food is to, keep this body alive. That's one of the things that I recite before we eat, actually. But then once you get the food, then even before that, I will have got my food first and sat down, and then I'm going to chant something, as I mentioned. But once you get your food and then come out, to eat, once you actually start eating, then be aware of bringing food to your mouth, and then try to do it fairly slowly, like we moved in the walking meditation. And just be aware of not stretching out your hand to get something more. And then, especially the moment you put food on the tongue, try to feel that. And then the chewing. Try to chew slow enough that you feel the movements of your jaws going up and down and sideways. And try to chew like a cow chews its cud out in the pasture. Although you don't have to slobber like cows do, but they eat very slowly like that. And feel how the tongue is moving. The tongue is very active while you're eating, actually. We don't know that, but if you're focused and chewing slow enough, the tongue moves food to different teeth, depending on whether you need to crunch something with the molars or bite something in half with your front teeth. Tongue is doing that also. And then you get to the point to swallow. Chew. Usually the yogis say you got to chew each mouthful about 40 times. Because the digestion should happen in your mouth, not in your stomach. Because if solid food goes down in the stomach has to produce a lot of the bile and stuff, which is a kind of a poison, and can upset the stomach in order to break down those pieces. So my yoga teacher had a very nice little saying: drink your food and eat your water. The meaning of that is that you chew your food until it's just become like a liquid, mixed with the saliva in the mouth, and you can kind of just like drink it. And in eating your water means when you put water or juice or anything liquid in the mouth, keep it in for a couple seconds, kind of run your tongue through it so that whatever nutriments may be in that water get absorbed directly through the nerve terminals of your mouth and tongue. That way you're sort of like eating your water, you just let it move around, run your tongue through it a little bit rather than immediately gulping it down. So anyway, doing that will just help you to be more mindful and help you to stay more centered and grounded in the body. So like that, you go over that. And if during the meal you got to reach out to get a drink of water, if you have your cup there, or something else, be aware of stretching. You're going to stretch your arm, just be aware of stretching, being aware of your hand, grab that object and bring it back, pouring. In other words, try to do each thing step by step, like that, having the present moment awareness and feeling the sensations connected with that. And after you're finished, again, take your things into the kitchen, put any food scraps into the compost bucket, and then hopefully there'll be a basin or something you put your dishes into, and somebody else will clean them up afterwards. And then your cups, don't leave your cups in there. The reason why we had you put your names on your cups is to keep that cup with you, and then rinse it out in the sink over here, so we don't have a lot of people waiting to rinse their stuff out in the main kitchen area. The sink that's in between these two rooms. There's a sink there, and there's some. Just rinse it out, and you don't have to probably wash it too good, because it's you're using the same thing over again yourself. That's why, and then you can dry it with paper towels and put it back on the shelf. Okay, and then take a little rest if you need to, or it's not. Looks like the weather's nice. Say take a walk outside after lunch. If you don't feel like you need to lay down or rest, you walk out toward the back of the property. You can look into that building that we're constructing in the back, if you care to, and then walk back around the forest, where you can make a kind of a circular movement and so on. So in this, just try to be with yourself. Try to always remember the present moment. Remind yourself, okay, what is this body doing right now? Standing, walking, moving, looking at something, thinking, and try not to get carried away in various types of thoughts, opinions, judgments, comparisons, and all that. Just use the body as an anchor to the present moment. And then, or if you want to take a little rest, and there'll be a gong rung about 10 minutes before. I think we're going to meet back as a 1:45. I think. Well, 1:45, I think. I'm not sure. I forgot. Let's see. But anyway, just, sometime after 1:30, you're going to be gong about 1:30, and then just not to rush and run to come, but mindfully, get up and come. Then we'll start our afternoon giving a longer Dhamma talk, and then more meditation. Okay? Anybody have any questions about that? So go ahead and stand up, and again, stay around in this dining hall until you hear the little bell to come inside, and then I'm going to be chanting something, a little blessing for the food, and then we'll let you know when you can start taking your food. So you can slowly stand up, and for those who are out there in the Zoom land or YouTube live, about 1:45 or so, we may be starting.